Yeah, this is very important for all of us. So collectively, we are doing a lot for the industry. So way forward, what is that DFI intends to achieve? So quick oversight I'll give. So we have chosen to get the different stakeholders from the industry. So because DFI believes all their initiatives and work practices through collaborative approach. So that's the reason. So we are calling a few of the panelists representing an industry. So we have Mr. Srinivas, Chief General Manager from Chennai Metro. Please come, sir, on the dais. Dr. K.S. Ramakrishna, Chairman, DFI. So Professor Gandhi. So Professor Amit Prashant from IIT Gandhinagar. Mr. Mohan Ramanathan, ACT, MD ACT. Mr. Bhikshapati, the round. And Mr. Hari Krishna, representing Keller, MD. Statement for all of us. So way forward for enhancing standards of Indian Geo Foundation industry, matching with the global best. So why this topic today, why these discussions here? So I'll just quickly go back to the background for having this session. So way back 2012-13, so few of well-wishers of the industry, so under leadership of Dr. K.S. Ramakrishna, and including Mr. Hari Krishna, Dr. Basarkar, Professor Gandhi, and Professor Bhuminathan, though they felt yes, some platform is required in India to enhance the performance of the foundation industry. So they found no other platform better than DFI. So whatever deliberations we had from the beginning, they found this is the best platform. So they started off with conducting conferences for the initial years, 2012 onwards up to 2015-16. Then seeing the response from the industry, so they felt to get into the next level of this initiative. That's how they found, they felt the need of setting up a full-time office who can work to get new technologies, skill programs, good practices to the industry. So they envisaged to have a 3-4 member team headed by Chief Executive or Director of Operations. That's how Dr. Ramakrishna, who was my colleague in L&T. So we are all like-minded people. So every time we discuss industry problem, he offered me, why don't you join this position? So that time I was just about to retire from L&T. I found it's the best opportunity for me to something to do for the industry also. So may not be related to my field, geotechnically a specialized field. I've never had a chance to work in this area, but industry per se, construction industry problems more or less same. I found this is a good opportunity for me. So I started going through about DFI website, what is that, and in fact before joining, based on my own background and other thing, I've given some 3-4 page note to them. So what is that as a chief executive I intend to do. So ideas got gelled, then that's how I got into this position. Then so what I should do, so I am responsible for developing the strategy and bringing the industry stakeholders together, identifying what we should do. It's a big task, even raising finances, conferences, all this. So I am responsible and to more than anything keeping up the image of DFI. So it's a big task for me. I started understanding that. So last 2 years, it's a great journey for me. So had a chance to work with many stakeholders from abroad and I think nobody can get that kind of opportunities. So now I am interacting more than 50 global experts, India and global experts in a different initiatives. It is a great journey. So, but lot to be done. Yeah. So, but how to move forward? What we should do? So, yeah, please come, Bhikshapati. I felt yes, we should have some parameters to know where are our standards. So then set a benchmarking and set parameters. What is the parameter we should choose? So that is the way forward I felt, and I was trying to collect the data from the research, what are available around, and from industry leaders also. So what is that foundation contains? So basically there are 4 segments. I understand. So please correct me wrong if saying anything wrong in that. So I said I'm making a statement. The foundation industry is new to me. Yeah, this shallow foundation. This is a research report given by one Morris. Global average. What is the industry's different segments and also. So you presented that shallow foundation comprises around 36%, pile foundations around 48%, and ground improvement around 10%, and others 6%. Others, of course, many more areas, we have to define that. But whatever data we have got it, so shallow foundations, so in Indian context around 45%, and pile foundations is 50%. Ground improvement, there's so much scope to, touch global standards. So understand we are at 1% and others 4%. So you can give me feedback at a later. So I'll just, since we are running out of time, we'll proceed with this one, my program. Yeah, then within foundation industry again comprising the maximum chunk. Foundations also, there are so many specialities. So these are again global report presented by the same Ms. Morris. Large dia board holes. Global level it is presented that it comprises around 25%. CFA pile 23%. Driven precast pile 21%. Driven cast in place piles 10%. Driven H piles 8%. Screw piles 7%. Other 6%. Whereas it's found that we are into mostly large dia board piles and driven precast piles. So, Mr. Hari Krishna, you can just correct it. Is it okay or? Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So we are not explored these other areas, CFA piles and screw piles, driven H piles, even precast also. There's so much scope, I understand. Now why? This is the one question we have to ask ourselves. So globally, yes, certain practices they are following in the sense there must be some meaning. So quality-wise, unless even most of the owners, unless it is cost effective and there is a speed and other thing, they would not have implemented other technologies. So we have to understand why we are lagging behind and move forward. This is how our journey has begun. At least we thought, okay, the first thing CFA pile will take up that. So it's a success journey. Yesterday we had one full day session on CFA piles. So we are into implementation stage. And coming back to the skill level. So there is a big gap comparing to the global standards. This is data is taken none other than by the Government of India document, National Skill Development Mission, a framework for implementation. There is a Skill India mission. So they presented these figures. Formal training programs at global level. South Korea it's 96% and Japan 80%, Germany 75%, UK 68% and US 52%. We are far behind at 2.3%. That's how we are suffering in the projects so much. Quality problems, safety problems and other things. Today it's projected that by 2023 there is a requirement of 9 crore manpower, next to largest to agriculture. And there are only 3-4 major institutes together probably training 1 lakh people, including NAC is one thing, L&T and the Pune, Kradai, there's one institute. Hardly very few institutes are there. And particularly deep foundation industry, there's no specific institute there as on date available. And manpower also, how much we require, we do not have a data. The first, my earnest request to you that, yes, support me in providing this data. So unless we have a data and global benchmark, we cannot set ourselves standards and to reach the global best. And how the understanding industry context again. So this geotechnical scope comprises a very small scope compared to the construction industry. And today's construction industry, we know project values have gone up very high. We are talking in terms of thousands of crores. Complexities have increased. So no project is going free from time cost overruns, quality issues and safety issues. And always geo foundation industry, on global level, they give so much importance, it's looked down. In Indian scenario, owners, they don't employ geotechnical industry when required standards and other thing. Design is driven by structural engineers. Other day, I happened to attend one interesting program of Professor Ramana. So, Mr. Madhav, Professor Madhav, the teacher of Dr. K.S. Ramakrishna. This is a statement he is making. No, this industry, they are not giving a due importance to geotechnical professionals. So this has to change. Need of the hour. So all I feel we can together do. So I'm meeting more and more industry people. They are also acknowledging. But as a team, how we can change the scenario? So that we have to look into that. And coming back to potential, the big potential construction industry is growing. And 2016-17 as a part of GDP, 10 lakhs crores business it ticked, and it is expected to touch 20 lakhs by 2024-25. And there's one report, Indian Infrastructure Research. So they made a 200-page document. They listed down the kind of projects in the offing. So that time they projected 25 lakhs crores in 2017. But now with the government announcing slew of projects, recently there's another data I could capture, is the global data. It's a world level, it's compiling the data. It's a conglomerate of 12 research organizations. They projected 83 lakhs crores in the future we have next few years. So this is a big scope for all of us. We have to feel happy that there's a big potential, even proportionate share of geo foundation industry also is there. Phenomenal scope is there. Yeah, but how to move forward? So morning, Ms. Teresa covered the way they handle advancements and other thing. So they handle this much matured market, US market, and so they join together all stakeholders, owners, contractors and specialist contractors, multiple stakeholders. They identify the problem. So they keep working together, advancements and all. It's heartening to know that they have today 25 committees. I will not go through, so for this general reference presented here. So you can go through even website also. Many committees are there. Yeah, conferences, workshop. These, in fact, committees will drive, once they do advancement, research and other things, they use conference as the platform to drive these initiatives, propagate the programs and all, well attended. That's how the industry is, these activities are spread, is well attended program. So this is what this is a way forward for all of us. So this is quick photographs. So we followed the path, proven path, set up a few initiatives. We are into action. So I will get into what are the initiatives are on, and any industry requires a holistic approach to meet the mission of this DFII mission. So prima facie, these are the three important stages of any project. One is geotechnical investigation, design and execution. And each of these areas, there is a scope. The new technologies, the more important tender practices, implementing international work practices, skill program, workshops, seminars, conference to disseminate the knowledge. So I feel we can follow this matrix to move forward. I mean, identify each initiative, form a committee and keep working. This is how we can bring a phenomenal change in the industry. So we are thankful to different organizations who are part of these committees. So we request many more volunteers to join this. Now we'll quickly get into each of these initiatives. What is that? Now, one of the area we have started is a geotechnical investigation. So we formed a committee. The Professor V.S. Raju is the chairman of that. In fact, the part of his presentation tomorrow he'll be covering. So what is the level we have to reach global best? And now I request Dr. Ramakrishna to just highlight so what programs we are undertaking. So this is where we are collaborating with the NAC. So Mr. Bhikshapati and Dr. Ramakrishna, quickly 5 minutes time, I request them to share so what are our thoughts and how we are moving forward on geotechnical investigation.
Hello, good evening to all of you. I'm very sorry that we are holding you. It's very late in the evening today. Basically, we all know, if you talk to any civil engineer who was involved in a project, the first challenge he faces is a bad soil investigation report. That is the first thing he will say, and maybe it's a loose comment or it's an excuse, we don't know. But even if it's a very good soil report, probably still that comment will come. But I don't think the statement made by him is far from the truth. The fact is that we do not have trained, certified technicians both in the field and the lab. Only through course of time they learn. Most of them are semi-educated people doing soil investigation. And very established companies in our country are employing at site supervision uneducated people as data recorders. They just record the data on their palm, transfer it to the register, and like that things happen and we get very bad data. And afterwards, report may be written very well, but the basic data is questionable. And we all, entire career, we studied so many things, but we depend on one number that is called SPT. And I really don't know how valid it is for a particular site, because anybody can put a number and say this is the SPT for that particular area, but there is no way for you to check it, because you don't go to the same location and do the testing. So what we decided was, probably this is one very key area we have to address. Let us do our bit and let us see how to do some amount of training for lab technicians so that the laboratories can be helped. So lab technician is a program which we have taken up. But first of all, I want to ask you, do you think this DFI India is relevant to this country? Can you say, those who say yes, can you raise your hands? If you think it is a relevant platform and it gives us a lot of encouragement to continue, but there are a lot of challenges we are facing, both on financial front as well as on the volunteers, the contributions that should come from volunteers. So I request all of you to join us in some of these committees and help us in steering these things and taking this forward. Otherwise, very few hands are working very hard and it's very difficult for us to take up any of these initiatives to success. So my request is to join some of these committees. One of them is the Geotechnical Subsurface Characterization Committee, which is being chaired by Professor V.S. Raju. At his age, he has done a lot of work. We formed a draft manual for our course material, and Sri Bhikshapati, who is the Director General, he has been kind enough to take this also into his portfolio and see that we can start this program in this institute, which is meant for skills development. So I think I request Mr. Bhikshapati to take this forward and tell a few things about what he is intending to do and what he has done so far in this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So, as per the Government of India Skill Development Framework, they have a NSDF, National Skill Development Framework. So, every job role has certain qualification packs and national occupational standards. So, under CSDCI, NSDC is the body, and under Construction Skill Development Council of India, they have identified certain job roles for various like technical trades. Right now, they have not identified. Perhaps that is what the comment. There's not much focus or scope for geotechnical. Perhaps the industry might have felt. So right now, there's only one role. It's a lab technician concrete. But after deliberations last year in the annual conference at IIT Ahmedabad, then we thought there should be one job role exclusively for lab technician geotechnical. So then a committee has been constituted, and 3-4 webinars happened and 2 or 3 committee meetings happened in NAC. Finally, a curriculum and qualification packs have been drafted. The procedure is, so this has been vetted by industry. DFII is nothing but an association of the industry. So what we sent is from NAC, we have submitted this curriculum for approval. There is again an apex body under NSDC to approve a qualification packs and the framework and the curriculum. So now, right now, the ball is with them, and once it is empaneled as a job role under the CSDCI / NSDC, then there will be funding agencies, because right now these trainings are not happening in India because the youth are not willing to invest on funding, on the courses. So once it is empaneled under NSDC / CSDCI, so there are several agencies, like there's a MEPMA, it's an urban employment program, and there is a DDUGKY, Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana, and there's a PMKY, Prime Minister Kushal Vikas Yojana. These are the programs, and every state government has these programs. In addition to them, there are programs for the marginalized people like scheduled caste and scheduled tribe and the backward classes. So the funding comes from those agencies. So once this job role is empaneled under NSDC, funding automatically comes. Funding for the fee and funding for the stay and all those things. So we are now working towards that, and extensive work has been done by the committee. I think Prasad, we should congratulate him. He was very instrumental in bringing out the committee and conducting the meetings, and we will be pursuing with them. And once this is there, this particular training need not be limited only to NAC. Any training service provider in any state in the country can conduct trainings, but one mandate is the funding agencies like the Ministry of Rural Development or Urban Development, when they fund to train the unemployed youth, the mandate is at least 70% of the class must be placed, must be provided with jobs with the industry. So the very question is there a potential for jobs for so many people? So we have to limit ourselves to only to the extent of the potential. Maybe one agency or one state can train 100 and 120 people or 150 or 200 people a year. I see there is not much more than that scope, more than 200 lab technicians, employment for them. So that is one condition what the funding agencies come. But it's very hopeful, and we will be pursuing with them because we are in partnership with the NSDC. We'd like you to get the approval. This is my bit of comments on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So what we are planning, then lab technicians, once it developed, we are also talking to L&T. So they have that skill training institute, 8 institute across India. The other institute, Fugro also we spoke. So we have a plan to spread it across India in a different region, so that 3-4 years down the line we have enough skilled people to be employed by the total industry. For a period of time, no person other than skilled person should not be employed. That is the stage we have to bring it. Similarly, our next target is to develop field supervisors. So that is on the agenda. And we also want to work few major government organizations or owner organizations to enhance their tender practices so that they'll get right price, right time frame, to even stipulations like skill programs and all. And finally, this quality geotechnical agencies are also employed. So this is this step-by-step manner we want to take it. So it's a combined work. We want many more stakeholders to come and help us. Yeah. Yeah, this is another area. What are the future technology so we can have it? So right now the CFA pile and what is that further we can do? I request Ms. Hari Krishna to mention our quickly our CFA journey and also the future what we intend to do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Prasad Garu. Basically, before we touch on the new technologies alone, I just wanted to have few words on the skill, the earlier topic of the initiative. This is my view, my personal view, having working for last 18 years in Keller, India. The construction industry employs, second largest employer in India, right? But at the same time, as per the statistics of the CIDC, we have recording 14,000 fatalities every year. 14,000. That means imagine the number, every day 40 people are dying in our construction industry. It's very, very, very large number. Just to give an order of comparison, in a country like Singapore, although it's a very small country, not more than 12 fatalities for the whole year. So that means we are having such a skill problem. I see the root cause of this safety issues is actually related to the skill of the people. People are not trained enough what to do, how to deal with the given situation and the given boundary condition. They just wanted to do so-called, we say, jugaad way, right? So just get it done, whatever it way takes. So the safety is the one prima facie problem that we have. The quality is also a prima facie problem that is interlinked with the skill of the people, because people are not trained. You give them a machine, very expensive, very new technology, whether it's a CFA rig or heavy rotary rig or a diaphragm wall kit, anything you can buy, because the buying of a machine and the resources is just linked with the capex. But the skill is not just like that overnight. It takes its own time to train a person, and the human brain is very difficult to get into the right practices in the best way it is possible within the given time frame. So as a result of that, if they are not well trained, the quality lapses are resulting in serious problems in our construction industry. So both safety and quality are interlinked to having an under caused by, driven by the skill, lack of skill that we have in our construction industry. So I think if we realize and accept this reality, we can develop a very good skill development program thanks to NSC for their in-kind support, joining DFII to support our thing. I think all the owners, all the contractors and all the consulting engineers, if they realize this underground driving factor, I think you all join this initiative in a great way to solve this problem of safety and quality. Then coming on to he touched very briefly on the tender practices. The schedule of the project is also another burning issue. Tender qualification always says so many piles, so many linear meters have to be done, but they never mention in what time frame. So if you say qualification 1000 piles experience is required, in what time frame? If the time is not essence that is measured in our caliber of qualification, then the lot of lapses, again linked with the skill problem, again linked with a behavior problem, the project is getting delayed unendingly. As a result, a country of our economy cannot afford a project of 2 years project if it is going for 6 years. Imagine the scale of the problem that we are turning into. The schedule is another burning issue that is also linked with the skill of the people. Then of course, as we address all these basic things, the new technologies, I think the CFA is a very fine, marvelous example that as a DFI, we are able to demonstrate what wonders it can do, compared to the productivity, compared to the assurance of the quality, and then the behavior and the end result. For the same thing, so yesterday also we are discussing, we don't need to wait for the big code to come along. Once this, the spread of the news goes to the right stakeholders, they can actually start recommending into it. Once the recommendation goes into it, the guidelines can be formed parallelly. Once the guidelines are accepted by the norms, then it becomes a code. Maybe it takes 1 decade or 1.5 decade, but eventually it becomes. So I think the new technologies drive, whether it is CFA or a deep salt mixing today, we saw a lot more, or helical pile. Our fellow friend presented very nicely. So I think all these new technologies drive will definitely add value and bring value to the construction industry, both as in terms of the cost savings as well as the time savings. The last but not least, I think we should not forget about the innovation. I think we saw my friend Deepak's presentation. The innovation is possible in many ways, not only in engineering, not only in materials, not only in the construction procedures. There are many ways to address the innovation. So I think the forum of this, if we get strengthened with the right people, stakeholding, but not just discussing over the 2 days conference, but also having a follow-up and then support in turn. It's a win-win situation, cyclic process, chicken and egg situation. We have to start along, and we have to believe along, and we have to spread along. Then I think we will definitely get along to reach to the global standards. This is my view. Just wanted to share with that. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Hari Krishna. Yes, CFA, to tell in quickly, 2 years efforts, close to some 30 experts, global experts, collaboration efforts, and support of 10 major organizations, small and major organization, who has contributed $100,000. And this outcome is that we are able to conclude 6 trial piles, tested successfully, installed, and guidelines document is also available. So yeah, this is how collaborative approach works, and so we look forward more and more industry support to do more initiatives. So Mr. Mohan Ramanathan, so he is also seriously pursuing to bring helical piles to India. So I would like to request him to share a few of his thoughts on this.
So you all heard Dr. Perko on helical steel piles, helical screw piles. Dr. Perko has written the only book so far, and I've been in touch with him, and I took a liking for this last 2 years. And if you go back in history, I introduced under-ream piles way back in the 70s. In fact, that was my BTech thesis. Installed piles, brought a lot of rigs. We were a contractor, so as a student, as a final year BTech student in IIT Madras, that was my thesis. We did actual piles, and my guide in the institute was recommended. Of course, it was a quasi-field and a BTech thesis on an actual site. This technology was introduced by CBRI Roorkee, by Professor Dinesh Mohan. This changed completely the way we handled foundations for our expansive clays. In fact, he brought about a revolutionary solution for lightly loaded structures for expansive clays in India. Single under-ream pile. A code was made after a long time. He was instrumental in setting up the first fabrication unit with a simple tripod rig. This is in the 70s. So since then, till now, 35, 40 years, that has not been mechanized. Even now, even today, in and around, even in Telangana, a lot of people do the under-ream piling rig exactly the same way manually. So we don't innovate what we actually invented. So I found this opportunity. So I was a piling contractor. I brought the first BSP driven piling rig in 79, young blood, imported it from UA. I was there for 15 years, wanted to bring something new. Yes, we brought it. So I will address 2 things about skill development, about the rig operators also we are talking here in one of the initiatives. That time, the piles, driven cast in situ piles was the most popular one, and we had a very solid code with a highly formula. That was before the pile dynamic stage. The operator actually could control where he wanted to stop the pile. He could manipulate the drop of the hammer and then show the set as per what his boss wants. I think all of you know that. All of you know this is what used to happen. The set, which is the highly formula, all of us have gone through, or at least the elder generation. That's how the piles were terminated. And who controlled it? The winch operator. Millions of piles have been driven like this in India, but because they are all over designed, you don't hear of failures. And because they are all end bearing piles, mostly there are not much failures. But those rigs are almost gone. Now we have a new generation of hydraulic rigs. Before that we had the tripod rigs. Again the operator had the full control. He would tell the engineer at site, yes, we have reached termination, but he would not let the weight drop, chisel drop. So we passed that age. We didn't have instrumentation. We depended on operators to terminate piles, but those days are gone. So today we have very modern rigs with extremely good instrumentation. Those operators cannot sit on that rig. This is what DFI must ensure. Those who sit on our rigs today, they're sitting on like a simulator for an Airbus. They are fly-by-wire machines. These machines are sophisticated machines like an Airbus simulator. And the operators who sit on this have not even gone to school. So there's a great mismatch between the owner asking somebody to run these hydraulic rigs or any other crawler-mounted machines that we have, and the amount of money he has spent on that and the amount of money he has spent on that operator. It's a great mismatch, and that is why owners like CMRL and others across don't have a choice of how to specify this operator. So being the background, that's another initiative in DFI, rig operator training program. We will come to that when you start. Now coming to helical screw piles. Today I am selling heavy construction equipment, excavator based, crawler based, and this is an attachment for them. The auger drive is an attachment for them. The concept of screw piles is very old, as you saw in the morning. There are manufacturers in India, there are 3 big manufacturers in India who make the screw piles for export only. We are not using them in India. There are no auger drive manufacturers, but there are base equipment manufacturers. Backhoe loaders, which is like we call it JCB as a generic name. Backhoe loaders and excavators are all made in India, but the attachment is not made here, but it's no big deal. We get them. The screw piles are made in India. We have excellent designers who can do it. What's stopping us? What's stopping us? It's an extremely fast installation. So this attracted me to learn more about it because this can replace under-rim piles. It has a good pull-out capacity, which means it can work on expansive clays, very fast installation. You don't have to put concrete. Most unskilled people do the under-rim piles today. You can upgrade that. You can do it extremely fast. You can install in temporary location, and it is seismically much, much better for seismic. Professor Amy of University of Oklahoma, she's an expert in this. I've asked her to come and give a lecture on seismic capabilities of helical screw piles. So this attracted me, and I proposed this to DFI, that I will take up the initiative. I can get the manufacturers to give us demo machines, and people like you can approach me or any of the institutes to design actual jobs. And we will come and install the piles, no matter where it is in India. So the more piles we install, like Hari said, we don't have to wait for the code. There are 3 countries who have got their own codes: Australia, United States, and Canada. And Dr. Perko is working with me. I send all my design requirements to him. He sends it back to me. Even today, I got a requirement from Guntur, which I'm trying to convert underim pile into helical piles. So each one of you who are getting inquiries can start thinking. And unless we install more piles, there are more case histories, more observations, and presentation in these conferences, we cannot introduce a technology. There's enough research done in Indian institutes. Professor here has done this, and Dr. Narasimha Rao, way back in the 90s, he was my professor when I was a student. They've done research in helical screw piles in the lab level, and he is expert in transmission towers. So we have, it's a lost opportunity, but I want to capture it back. So from the industry point of view, what do you need? You need a base equipment. You need an auger drive. You need helical screw pile manufacturers. That's the third one is difficult because nobody will set up a manufacturing unit with the jigs and fixtures unless you assure him an order. Now we have 3 manufacturers. I know all 3 of them. They're just making to somebody else's design, just a fabrication, and exporting it out of India. We can just bring them into the fold. So what is lacking is is people like us should design and see whether we can install, and we can start this process. It's a well proven, as you have seen in the morning. So there is going to be a one-day conference, half a minute, in IIT Bhubaneswar on the subject of helical screw piles, conducted by IIT Bhubaneswar on the 7th of December. I'm presenting a paper, and they're doing in collaboration with University of Dundee. So it's a one-day program. Those who can, I think tomorrow he'll put a slider on this, just on the screen. So this initiative, I thought DFI is the best platform to start this process. We will follow the same steps as what we did for CFA. But here the difference is the expenses for the plant and machinery, movement, equipment, drive, the consumable will all be free. It will not be to DFI's cost. This I assure you.
Thank you, sir. So there's another opportunity to start a committee. So definitely we'll look into that.
So
we want more volunteers.
in CFA initiative, a lot of cost we had to bear. Even though a lot of in-kind we got.
Sure.
So in this initiative, we will take the platform of DFI,
Well
but
noted.
we will not put the cost to you.
Sure,
The
sir.
industry will take it.
Sure, sir.
But we need projects.
Thank
we
you.
need live projects. It's not laboratory. We need live projects. I've quoted for a project in West Bengal, 11,000 piles
Yes, sir. So
designed by him. Now,
we'll get
my
into-
initiative is done.
Yeah.
Very dangerous to give the mic to me.
yeah, incidentally, Dr. Prasad is here. The US, they set up a power systems committee dealing with all transmission line power industry and all. This is where the big scope for helical piles. In fact, we're intending to set up similar platform here, so we'll work out. Tatas and other people who are L&T, other stakeholders, so they can also come forward. There is a last excavator-based technology also. There is a big scope, so cost-effective solutions, and we will also work how to promote that, even small projects and other things. So where big machines are required. So we have a few of industry stakeholders who are ready to help us. So these are at least the initiatives we have in a future, near future, couple of years down the line. So we'll get into next mode. Unless owner support is there, it's difficult to put through any advancement, new technologies, good practices. So thankful to few owners who are supporting us very much. The Chennai Metro is one owner. Project director is so proactive, and we have CGM, Mr. Srinivas also at every step. So that they are asking us to what we can do for them, DFI. So we also put up some initiatives to Chennai Metro. I request Mr. Srinivas to share his points on this.
Morning there was a lot of debate that the owners just give some wishy-washy information and then they wash it with their hands and then they'll put all the fine print in the tender that all the risks to be carried by you. Okay, actually there is if you go into the genesis probably 30 years back when I joined 37 years back when I joined the organization like CPWD, at that time actually geotechnical engineering was not that much given importance by the people. But probably I think some 2 decades back onwards, probably in the 90s, it started that, even the state governments have said that even for the normal building to be constructed, there should be a geotechnical report to be accompanied along with that. So that means a sense of understanding the importance of that started in. Similarly, if you take the magnitude of the projects, 20, 30 years back, we never dealt with the projects of the magnitude what we have today. And not only the magnitude, it is the complexity as well. Then you look at the department side. Now the departments employers have not remained as the government departments alone. If you ask me today, I am a private organization. I am a proper corporate. I am no more a government. I am running a public transport business, but it is a business by itself. So I don't run just like, I don't have the support from, like a subsidy or something like that. We raise the funds, we have to have the equity, then we have to run the business, we have to be self-sustained. So with all these things in the background, we see that the magnitude has increased, the organization setup has increased. So today the employer is not the employer 30 years back. Similarly, the complexity that is being understood by us is entirely different today. And then, but only the problem is that we did not have in between the organizations, the companies which could give us a proper geotechnical investigation report. So now what we have done is, and if you look at our projects, even our projects initially when the first corridor normally wherever the Delhi Metro or you take any other one, it is like the metro has to be started, immediately the tender is to be floated. If the tender is to be floated, then you have a very lean, mean organization at that point of time. Only 10 engineers and 1 managing director is available. So we can't float a tender for the geotechnical investigations separately, get the entire information, make a proper thing. For that you take about 8 months. If you do that, when you will float the tender, when you will construct it. So at that time it was understood that the proper way to do it, it was like a kind of experiment was there made, I would rather say. Like the FIDIC contract documents were taken and then a lump sum design build contract was floated. So I don't find any mistake in that. Like it is a design build lump sum contract. So if the contractor is supposed to investigate, carry out the geotechnical investigations, let it be. So be it. Why should the employer be called names for that? I don't see any reason in that. So, but the thing is that, again, at that place also when the lump sum contracts went on and initially some DPR report, soil investigation information was given. So that has finally resulted into some claims, arbitration, all sorts of things. But today, the metro organizations also are also maturing in the sense, when I am talking about the design and build system, at that time we had the general consultants, overseeing the project. So at that time the lump sum design build, the moment the tender is given to the contractor, it becomes the contractor's baby to carry out professionally in a particular way and then deliver the project at the end of the day. But now, consequently what has happened is that the organizations have grown by itself. If you see today Chennai Metro, we are an organization now. We have a proper setup of people, but not like as a public department, but we have reasonably a strength of people. Then at the same time, now we also understand that if we throw the risk to the contractor, what kind of claims we are going to get. Not all the times the claims are correct, let me say that. Because if I give the geotechnical information and I just put it in the FIDIC document that 4.1 clause, it says if the contractor is of the opinion that there is change in the parameters which he is seen today, which were not foreseen by him at the time of tender. Anybody will say, I have not foreseen it. What is there? Let the arbitrator decide as to what is there and what is not. So what I am saying is, there could be that, it can be said on both sides. Like that it becomes. The moment you don't have you have got the clauses like this and then you have not given the first hand information at the beginning. So now that is why what we are doing now is that in the second phase, in fact, prior to this even Delhi Metro and Bangalore Metro has done, that the phase 2 which they have taken up or the subsequent phases, they are having some time cushion before we scout for the funds from the financial institutions.
Sir, just
Yeah. Okay. So that means what I am coming to the point is that now we are carrying out the investigations very closely at an interval of even 25, 30 meters, 40 meters like that. And those investigations reports are being given to the DDC, and detailed design consultant is providing the designs. So we have come into that mode now. And in this geotechnical investigations, when we wanted to carry out, we collaborated with Deep Foundation, DFII India, and they have trained our engineers also. Not only our engineers, they have trained the engineers of the geotechnical firms, the contractors, and then so this is being taken up further, so that probably we'll be having frequent interactions of this nature. And while calling the tenders for such geotechnical investigation or even for the piling work, earlier we used to keep a degree in engineering or relevant experience in that particular field. But the moment you take up this through NAC, I am sure that we are going to add up that as also the qualification criteria, so that if the people come with that kind of, equipped with that kind of training, we would be preferring them also into this. So because normally we give a set of key people to be provided in the on the job site. So for the laboratory technicians as well as for the field operators, we can definitely do that. So these are some steps we have taken. So the risk that is being earlier, which was with the contractor, now we are taking that risk on our side. We are trying to give as much information as possible, and we are also giving the information in a appropriate way. So these are the steps which CMRL has taken.
So thank you, sir. Sir, quickly, Dr. Ramakrishna, just 2 minutes. You highlighted regarding these other aspects of Chennai Metro. One is we are helping them this review of the draft contract agreement. And
I think probably we'll have to speed up our discussion here. Chennai Metro, we had signed a memorandum of understanding at last year DFII conference in Ahmedabad. And according to that, what we do is we'll try to associate with them and help them in solving some of those challenges. The challenges that they faced in phase 1, we try to mitigate them and make sure that there will be a smooth execution of underground and foundation works. And for that, what we have done is DFII USA has formed an international experts committee, and they review some of these documents, the tender documents, and try to see if some of those they can help in some of those areas, some of those clauses, and to make sure that when the contractor comes to the site, he comes with proper qualified people, proper equipment, proper method statements, and they can be reviewed. So some of these things we have put forward as a proposal, and that's going to be they are going to hand over some of those draft documents, and we will just put it to the experts review, and then just go give them the comments back, and then see if the bid documents can themselves be improved. And when they are at site, how do we really help them by doing a short-term training program specific to the job site, so that At the job site, many times we see the contractors bring the equipment, but they don't know how to do their job because the operator is not trained. Operator might have done a job, different job, but here the conditions are very different. He may not have the experience, and many times the contractor doesn't bring the right tools. He doesn't know what tools he has to bring here. He just brings some tools which he has, and then he tries to experiment with that at the cost of the project, at the cost of the nation. And many things have happened in the past, many jobs in our country that just they bring the equipment, but they just don't know how to do it. They don't know the method. They don't know the tools. They don't go back to the manufacturer and ask him, am I doing the right thing? They are scared because they think that manufacturer is going to suggest some very expensive things to them which they have to buy. And they don't buy the right tools. So so all these things we want to address and see that we can help them, and so that the national project, Chennai Metro project, is run smoothly.
No, we are thankful to this proactive management. In fact, who will tell owner, you develop a program, training program, you tell us the cost, you tie up with the government agency, we will incorporate in the cost project document, make a provision for the training, so that contractor will not bleed or will not hesitate spending the money. So definitely we require these kind of proactive owners. I think these are the practice will help us, and slowly we are making a progress in that. I'm sure whatever the work is being done here, so it can be, once it takes a shape, it can be replicated in other metro projects also. Thank you, sir, for the Chennai Metro team. Yep. Yeah, quickly, sir, only we have to wrap up the, I think they're all waiting for thing. What I suggest, piling rig operator program, just within 2 minutes, what is that platform we are building, quickly explain them. And I request Manfred to, we have one of the best practices, they are joining us.
I think you should.
Yeah, that first, that platform, you tell what is that, so that for better understanding of IESC and all.
He wants me to introduce, then you go.
Yeah.
So there's another initiative from DFI is to start a piling rig, not really, geotechnical equipment, heavy equipment, operator training program. The ultimate aim is to have a certificate or a badge or a card, like your driving license, is a DFI certified operator. He would have gone through many chapters, starting from soil mechanics, basics of soil mechanics, basics of electricals, basics of hydraulics, and all that. So this is a platform that we are trying to bring the manufacturers. They already have their own individual programs. When they sell the equipment, they train them. They train the first operator who sits on their first machine. Then probably retraining happens once a year. Instead of that, we should have something in our institute where we have all the operators have a chance, all the owners have a chance to send their operators. The problems are many, that how to retain them, they will change, there will be a lot of attrition. Okay, we are not addressing all that. But here's Manfred, whose company is probably the world's best training program, and he's here to help us. Please.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the compliment that we have the best program, which we have good in Europe, has their good programs. And this is one of the main reasons why there are these differences, these global differences. And when we are talking, I will make it very short because this is a long topic. When we are talking now about piling rig operators to improve or to train them, to put them in a basic training, this is essential, this is very important. You mentioned it already. People are sitting unskilled, absolutely unskilled persons on machines which cost $1 million above, and they don't know what to do, they can't handle it, and they can't handle it properly, they cannot utilize it. So this has to be improved. But irrespective of this detail, I still want to use this opportunity and say one of the reasons, coming back to people, one of the reasons, to my understanding, why there is such a big difference in all the fields from still, it may change in future because we also have problems. One of the reasons is not the very well educated engineers. You have them as well here. It is this middle size class people on the site. Operators, foremen, supervisors, they understand the work, they do a lot of thinking, but behind it, in a good company, is they do the work, but they think what they do, and that means if something is, in their opinion, is not okay, and if the company is good, then they have the freedom that the management listens to them, and if they are correct, then the management accepts these proposals. And this is one of the big driving forces, I'm absolutely sure. This is of the big driving forces why many of these new techniques are there. It's always in countries, in companies where there is freedom to think, but there is incentives to think. One of the incentives is not only money. Money is important, but that's not the only one. It's the image. And if this class of people are, if they have the feeling they are accepted, they are listened to, and it's accepted what they do, they are not the dummy guys out in the rain, in the snow, in the dirt, but it's something responsible they are doing. If this way of thinking comes into the mind of the people and of companies, then there is a big step forward to reduce this difference in global advancement to the local advancement here. I don't want to comment about the problems with the authorities here. That's I don't have this inside knowledge. I only want to really confirm what one of you just said. Don't overdo it with codes and specifications and everything. Let the ideas come. First, do it. Let the companies make the profit out of it, because this is also something where people don't want to talk about it, that at the end of the day, the money behind it, that's the driving force. It's not that they want to have a new technology or so. They want to make money at the end of the day. And then if this system comes out and it proves to be good, then the authorities can follow. It has to be codified. There have to be specifications, of course. But if you codify everything theoretically before, then the idea is already dead.
So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manfred. So quickly, it's another major initiative. As it's mentioned earlier, 50% of scope in piles. And it's being handled by machinery and all. In fact, machines, you may be aware, as a layman, I feel that 40-50% of the cost goes in the machine. Imagine by this training and all, 20-30% of productivity goes, it will add phenomenal value to the total industry. So we have been, in fact, Dr. K.S. Ramakrishna and other veterans, Mr. Mohan Ramanathan, last 5-6 years, they have been trying to bring this operators program. So we are happy to say that slowly we are inching towards that. We are drawing up another like a NAC, another body, Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council. We had 2 rounds of discussions with them. So we are pulling up the experts. Mr. Manfred, whether you are aware or not, there are again like L&T, there are multiple departments are there. So one training team is coming all the way from Germany here to have a meeting tomorrow. So to discuss about that, in fact, as a part of this program, we'll be having a sideline meeting, how to do that, what kind of platform. So these are the things happening. So thankful to all the industry leaders. Yeah, WIDF, you had a good number of discussions and future leaders. So what is the big picture we can give to students who join the industry? So I am thankful to Professor Amit. IIT Gandhinagar is another institute we found very forward-looking company and dynamic leadership of Mr. Jain, and followed up by these people. So he has phenomenally supported last conference. But whatever we say, come let us do that. That is the kind of approach. So they also have been forming. In fact, the first student program we initiated last year at IIT Gandhinagar, we called 40 engineers, students there locally, and 3 experts spoke to them, prospects about industry and all. So now we also want to get into more structured programs. So I request Professor Amit to share some points on this.
So I think I'll be very brief. In education, we say have diversity and attack them young. And actually today after discussions, what I heard, actually it applies to industries as well. If you want to do something new, attack that at young age of people who can adapt to that very easily, and have diversity that will bring out value for you. So as we discussed, have more women in your companies, have more women recruited in the education, etc. So that is one part we have to work very hard on, and we shall be able to do that. Second, of course, is excite the students to get into geotechnical engineering and foundations related aspects. As the legacy goes, we have this very, you can say, rat race kind of thinking process where people feel that this is where the job is. And everybody tries to follow that line. And that is where most of the people are still going towards what was needed 20 years back in building design and this and that. And this information, what we have today about the kind of projects, you were saying about maybe 15%, 20% geotechnical engineering in the whole construction. I feel it's more than 50%, really speaking. Why do I say that? Because most of the construction, other aspects which are actually geotechnical engineering, we don't account for that. And that's the challenge. So that way, if we have more exposure to those students at young age, that will have a lot of value. And in terms of job opportunities, in terms of what kind of opportunities, in terms of variety of projects that we are doing, all those will inspire them, and they will come out in the, you can say, the effort that we are making. So several things we are thinking about, a couple of things that we, I think, shall try at least beginning from next year is like industry-sponsored internship programs for undergraduate. Don't put everything in the curriculum. Let some things be excitement in the field, and through internships you can address that, and have maybe, attract those students to come to this conference in whatever ways are possible, and they can be given lure of getting recruited also in a way. And those internship can also be PPT kind of pre-placement offer, PPO kind of things can be done. But what I mean is, we have to attract the best talent into geotechnical engineering. Not the nerdy ones, but the creative ones, I would say, because geotechnical requirement is more creative than what you need in building design. It's more routine work, just copy the code and you're done most of the time. But geotechnical will not survive with that. So you need more creative people, the evaluation parameters have to be very different, and so on. So that way, we have to think it through, and I'm glad it is put with the women program as well. Both I think, are in sync. We should get more women into the program, into geotechnical engineering. We should get women students on this platform, and that strategy will work, I think, miracles. That would be my saying.
Good, thank you very much. So, we want to bring some excitement to the students also, the kind of prospects available, opportunities available. So again, here also we would like to link industry, students and other stakeholders. So we want to arrange, we have a DFII India support team, like Lucky is holding another portfolio. She is the co-chair of India support team. The team of Indian engineers in UF, DFII and also some of the US engineers who are I mean, looking towards India, though they are helping us in several initiatives. In fact, the US, the WIDF is the things they promote student program. In fact, I'm requesting Lucky, so having initiated, so with your team, so take the charge of student program. You are planning to have series of webinar programs and other programs, paper competitions. So a lot more we can hear from this. Yeah. Ultimately, this all happens by building up collaborative approach, have all stakeholders of construction as partners of DFI program, owners, contractors, consultants, specialist contractors, subcontractors, piling rig owners, all foundation equipment we want to have on the board. So we are also talking to personally major organizations, owner organizations on one-to-one basis. They are very appreciative of our efforts. Close to some 30-35 organizations already we met them, and whatever identified that yellow color, they are all part of our various programs. Yeah, these were R&D expenditure at global level, that per capita, we are again at a very dismal level, 39 India comparing to global best. This is where any industry is not finding time at least to spend some efforts, energy, DFI thing, and together so we'll work for the development. So this is a very unfortunate thing with all that efforts. So we are not getting required support, encouragement. We are literally requesting all the members, stakeholders to become the members and all, but that graph is not going up. So we want to see that it so picks up. Conference attendance also. Yeah, so finally we are thankful to all of us. So probably this program we should have early part of this one, so that all the industry guys get benefited. I would like to have final feedback from you. How do you feel? So is it okay? Are we in right direction? Quickly, is it okay? The program is okay? Raise your hands. So what we want to year-on-year basis, like Harry Potter 1, 2, 3 like that, we want to have a series, continue this program, and ourselves see what kind of development we are making together. So thank you one and all very much. Thank you all panelists for sparing your time and efforts. Thank you very much.